Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley with the Essential Healing Collective, and welcome to class. So, this class is brief, and we're talking all about our shoulders and lengthening our spine. So, to get started, if you have a chair available, even if it's a step stool, something that could sort of bring the ground significantly closer to you, then grab that. But a regular chair, anything as long as it's not on wheels, will work. So, having that handy. You don't necessarily have to be on a yoga mat for this practice, but it may be helpful. And then find yourself in a mountain pose, Tadasana, standing position, where those feet are directly underneath your hips, facing forward, roll the shoulders back. Press through the four corners of those feet, so lengthen through your spine. Just roll your shoulders back, let the crown of the head be nice and high. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep belly breath in through your nose, let your belly fill like a balloon. Exhale out the mouth, sigh that out. Do that 3 more times. Nice and slow. Big inhale in through the nose. Big exhale out the mouth. And each time you exhale, I want for you to drop the shoulders a little bit more. Feel tension ease out through the shoulders, the blades, all the way down the fingers. Continue those deep breaths in and out. And after that fourth one, blink your eyes open and take stock. Check in from the soles of your feet, all the way up through those legs, all the way to the shoulders, the tops of the head, down the arms. Notice how you're feeling. We're going to start a little bit slow, introducing some movement into the shoulders. So just roll them back, shrug them up, and roll them back. Shrug the shoulders up and roll it back. So as you're doing this, those feet are still planted firmly, hips over those feet. Start to widen the circle. So invite the elbows into the movement. See if you can make that shoulder circle a little bit more exaggerated. Invite the arms into the party a little bit more each rotation without speeding it up. Really shrug the shoulders up by the ears, roll them all the way down like you're trying to roll down to the hips. All the way until those arms are floating back, almost like wings. Do 2 more. Notice what's happening in the shoulders. Any places that they're catching, slow it down, adjust so that the movement feels good. 1 more. Exhale, releasing it down. And shake that out. We're going to do that in the opposite direction. So tiny shrug up. Rotate the shoulder down and forward. So rotating the shoulders around, this time coming forward. Letting them scrunch up towards the ears. Melt forward and down. And start to bring the elbows into the movement. Again, without rushing, noticing how it feels. A little bit different coming towards the front and not quite the same range of motion, but still getting those shoulders up nice and high. Invite the elbows in and circle it out. For some reason, this feels more like bat wings, but do 1 or 2 more rotations in this direction and relax those arms down and shake it out. Inhale those arms up overhead. You're going to hold on to that right wrist with your left hand, pressing through the ball of the left foot just a little. Start to lean over to the left. Keep those hips over the knees, but stretch along the side body. And see if you can draw the shoulder, that right shoulder, away from the ear. Inhale, come back to center, switch sides. So grabbing left wrist with right hand, press through the ball of the right foot and reach. Draw that left shoulder down away from the ear, stretch along the left side body. Good. Inhale, come back to center, release those arms down. So finding that chair or whatever you have to bring the ground up nice and high. It could even be a countertop if that's what works for you today. Bring those hands towards to the top of whatever that surface is, and then walk the feet back all the way until you can find a forward fold position. So I'm still able to touch without losing the four corners of my feet. Softness in the knees, so not locking out, and then allow the heart to melt down. Only so far as it feels good and you feel a stretch. We want to come forward so that more than the fingertips are on that surface. And breathe. And as you're breathing, breathe into the ribs and the all the way up through to the shoulder blades. So widening through those spaces on your inhale, drawing the shoulders back. Exhale, soften. If that feels too intense, then walk your feet forward a little bit more, soften the knees a little bit more. But it's really important to breathe into the ribs, the sides, all the way up through those shoulder blades. And on your next inhale, slowly come back up. Just finding a little bit of a half lift modification here. And on your exhale, slowly melt back down. If this feels like a good stretch for you, then hang out here. Keep the four corners of the feet to the mat, grip the toes down. If you want to take it a little bit further, press down through those palms so those shoulders and lats engage as well. It's a little bit more active, and let the heart continue to melt. One more inhale and exhale here. And come up. Walk those feet forward. And again, these are variations. So if that stretch felt good for you, you're going to stay there. If you have the opportunity to lower whatever surface it is that you're using, so long as it's stable, then feel free to do that. So soften those knees a little bit deeper. Palms find whatever that surface is. Walk the feet back. You want the hips over the knees. So soften and bend until you're able to find that space. This is a deeper stretch here. Notice my ears move through my arms. I'm passive. I'm not really pressing through my palms or just a touchstone. But I'm still breathing deeply in through the ribs, all the way up through the side body into my shoulder blades. And inhale, come forward. Big half lift. Exhale, soften, melt it back down. This time you're going to press through those palms if that feels good. Again, if the stretch felt solid enough for you before, stay there. Still breathing into the ribs. Neck is nice and long. Shoulders are drawn down and away from the ears. And on an inhale, come up. Walk those feet forward. And roll up. Arms come all the way up. This time you're going to exhale, dive forward. So instead of that extension, you're going to find a forward fold. And notice my forehead is right where my chair is. So you have the option to allow the forehead to melt here, maybe grabbing opposite elbows, maybe just letting the arms hang. But particularly if those hamstrings are tight, being able to stop or folding those forearms and placing the forehead there, being able to stop and be passive here is really nice. It allows those hamstrings to lengthen. You can pedal those feet, sending the backs of those legs, extending and alternating opposite knee bends. We're really just hanging out here, still finding the four corners of the feet, but allowing the backs of the legs to lengthen. If your hamstrings are pretty open and you don't want to utilize something to bring the ground a little bit closer, go ahead and find a full variation of your forward fold. All the while you're still breathing through the back body, through the ribs, up into the lats, up into the shoulders, particularly spreading throughout the shoulder blades.
Boot down through those feet, grip the mat with the toes, release the arms. You're gonna roll up nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time.
And shake that out. And from here, I recommend finding a wall space. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my elbow and the back of my tricep. I'm not so good with the muscle groups. I'm gonna place that on the wall. So I have probably about 1.5 feet distance between myself and the wall. My right hand is at the top of my right shoulder and I'm leaning in. So nice deep bend in the right knee and allowing my armpit to melt towards the wall. So my body is staying square towards the front of the mat, if you will, or staying parallel to the wall. Breathing here. And again, widen through the body, breathe into the back body, breathe into the ribs. And as that starts to open, maybe get a little bit closer, spread those fingers, maybe reach towards the center of the shoulder blades. And inhale, release. Shake that out. I'm gonna do the opposite side. So, left hand to the top of the left shoulder, back of that tricep to the wall. Soften the left knee and lean. And as it starts to open, taking your time, get a little bit closer. Breathing through the back body, breathing through the ribs. And feel free to stay here as long as you like, as long as it feels good. And depending upon your shoulder mobility, sometimes it feels good to keep the elbow glued, so the back of that tricep glued to the wall, and gently allow the heart to melt forward and back. So our joints like circles, they like movement, but finding micro movement in a safe, supported environment to explore and only doing what feels good for you. Releasing that arm, shaking it out. Inhale, arms come up. And release those fingers, flip the palms up. You're gonna soften those knees and we're gonna come back into a forward fold, but arms are gonna stay extended. So softness in the knees, micro bend in the elbows, but I'm pressing through. And if that isn't accessible, grabbing a strap or a belt, softening, hinging at the hips and reaching. Extend through those arms, draw the shoulders away from the ears. Keep the arms active, reaching through, grip the mat with the toes, and come all the way up. Release those hands, extend them behind you, interlace those fingers, roll the shoulders back. And again, grab the strap if this feels uncomfortable, if you have any elbow challenges or mobility. And a good litmus test is to see if you can lift the tailbone. So roll the shoulders back, lift those hands away from the tailbone. If you feel pain or discomfort or you have to lock the elbows out to lift, that's your cue to grab your strap. Roll the shoulders back, micro bend in those elbows and lift. From here though, I want you to roll the shoulders back, lift the heart, micro bend in the knees, but see if you can find a little tiny back bend. So pull the low belly, pull the ribs in, lift through the heart, lengthen through the arms, and release. I'm gonna shake that out. I'm gonna find one more forward fold to round this out. So inhale, arms come up. Exhale, dive forward. You can find yourself back to that chair, to blocks, whatever serves. But allow the crown of the head to point down. Soften the knees. Let the belly find the thighs. And then gently sway your weight side to side. If those fingertips are touching, allow them to sort of dangle.
You're grabbing opposite elbows. That's cool. Slowly make your way back to center and then start your sway in the opposite direction. So mine almost feels like a figure 8. 4 corners of the feet stay in touch with the mat. Don't roll out to the micro or to the knife edge. Keep those knees protected. Release the arms. We're going to roll up nice and slow one more time. So really milk this one. Press down through those feet. Grip the mat with the toes and see. You can take 5 breaths just to uncurl your spine. If you're already standing, go back down. Take it a little bit slower. Feel the shoulders lengthen. The arms are reaching down, opening up as the shoulders round out. Once you find your way to standing, big breath in through the nose, big exhale out the mouth. Shake that out. Place your hands over your heart. Take a moment. It's a brief practice, but notice any differences from the start to now. And always pausing for a moment of gratitude, both to the practice and to yourself for taking this time. Thank you for practicing with me.